Rekt podcast is brought to you by Honey Miner. Want to start mining, but never had the technical skills or time? Honey Miner's the answer. Honey Miner is a one-click install mining software that downloads directly to your computer and earns you Bitcoin. No more writing scripts or configurations. Just download the desktop app and start mining immediately. What are you waiting for? Go to honeyminer.com and start earning Bitcoin while you sleep today. That's honeyminer.com, on Twitter at GetHoneyMiner, and Telegram at t.me/honeyminer.
I'm Crypto Christopher Walken, and this is Rekt.
Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Rekt podcast. I am Bunchu Betts, joined today by a very special guest and our other two hosts. We do have Cynthia here today, which we haven't had yet.
Woohoo!
Cynthia, say hello.
Hello.
Cynthia,
In my brand new microphone, do I sound better?
in her brand new microphone, and so she's not our only guest today. So in addition to Cynthia, we have Chamber. Chamber, how are you?
What is going on today?
And we have a very special guest. You may have heard of him. He is a up and coming in the crypto Twitter world, in the Telegram world, in the mining world. He is he writes pretty much daily for Whale Reports. We have Crypto Christopher Walken. How are you, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Happy to be here.
We are definitely happy to have you. So let's kick this thing off. So typically we start just with a little bit about how you got into crypto, who you are, where you're from, what's your very intro to crypto story.
Yeah, so I first heard about Bitcoin back in 2010. I was in a Navy IT school, and this guy in there was just talking about it daily. He was mining Bitcoin. He was talking about it. I had no idea what it was at the time. I just thought it was magical internet money. So I didn't think anything of it at the time. But I kept in touch with him because we ended up playing some video games together, mostly World of Warcraft. So 2011 came around, and I noticed that his armor was a lot better than mine. And I was like, dude, how are you getting all this good armor? And we play together all the time. And he's like, well, I'm buying armor with Bitcoin that I've been mining. And I was like, oh, really? So
and
I
then
just,
you're hooked.
yeah, then I was hooked. So then I decided in my off time from playing video games, I started mining Bitcoin with my gaming computer. And I had it was just like a GTX 9800. Like this was back in 2011, so that was like the top card.
When you could still mine with your computer.
Yeah, when it was one single card, you can get like 2 Bitcoin a day. So
Holy crap.
yeah,
Upsetting.
exactly.
Oh my God.
So yeah,
Awesome.
so we did that for a while. We'd end up actually mining, or not mining, but we'd get WoW gold, basically farming gold in the game, and then we would sell it to the Chinese on their servers because they had these servers you could basically sell them gold for Bitcoin, and then we would either get more armor or we would just cash it out to PayPal. So
What a crazy operation.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
pretty awesome, actually.
The Chinese were ahead of the game. They were definitely ahead of us on Bitcoin.
Right?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So we
That's
did that
funny.
for a while until Blizzard picked up on it, and they started securing, being able to do that through the messaging system. So 2012 rolled around, and we found out we could do the same thing with Diablo 3. So we started doing the same thing. We're farming gold, and that'll be a Rekt story later. But yeah, bought a few things of Bitcoin there. Then 2013 rolled around, the real money auction house went away, so then I just started mining it full time. I built my first rig. It was a 2-card rig. It was like 4850s, and it was still getting like 2.5 Bitcoin a day, I think, in 2013. This was, of course, before the ASICs came along.
Right.
And then 2014 rolled around, and I got Gox, which I'll talk about later. And then at that point, I basically got out of the game for a little bit. And then 2016, my buddy I still talk to got me back in, and started mining Ethereum. And that went pretty well. Then in March, I sold off a bunch of it of 2017, built a bunch of mining rigs, paid off some debt. And then, of course, we all saw that Ethereum went way up after that. So, of course, hindsight's 2020. And now here I am.
So, yeah, I think you so far definitely hold the record for longest tenured crypto, experience, being in it from 2010. So that's pretty cool. So you're definitely...
It's almost prehistoric.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely OG type material. So it's pretty cool to see.
Walken is pretty old, so...
Whoa, now. I only got a year on you. Calm down.
We talking the real Walken?
No, I'm talking the real Walken.
Okay.
That's funny. Awesome, man. So, yeah, like I said, definitely excited to have you here. I personally have heard a couple of your Rekt stories throughout your crypto experience, and it wouldn't be Rekt podcast if we didn't have you share some with the audience. So why don't you go ahead and tell us some of, since you've been around for so long, tell us some of your best crypto Rekt stories.
All right, so yeah, definitely the first one would be 2011. I probably mined a couple hundred Bitcoin, and I decided to just sell them off at the time. And I ended up buying more GPUs to build my first mining rig. And then 2012.
So how much did you how many Bitcoin do you think you spent doing that?
Probably like 500 or 600.
Oh.
Ow. Ow.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble speaking.
Well, no, I want to know how much you spent in the video game buying your armor.
Okay, yeah, so, yeah, I'll get to that story. I know you know some of it. So, yeah, 2012, like I said, we're doing the Diablo thing. And for those that played vanilla Diablo before, when they had the real money auction house, there was a couple of weapons that were really good, and one of them was Echoing Fury. And the best one actually sold for like $9,000, but I ended up getting one at the time, and I spent 150 Bitcoin on it.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
What?
So
Yeah.
what was the dollar amount that you spent on that? Do you think?
It was probably between like $1,500 and $2,000.
Yeah.
Do you
so
not,
that-
do you not think that's an irresponsible amount of money to spend on
Hey, but he also paid off his debt too. So
yeah, he did pay off
I
his
mined,
debt.
I mined it, so I really didn't care. And plus, I'm farming gold.
Oh, that's good.
And
That's
like
found
I said,
money.
At the time we spent Bitcoin, we didn't. It wasn't a store of value back then. We actually blew it on
Right.
stupid stuff.
Like pizza.
Like
Yeah,
pizza.
pizzas. Yeah.
that was in the same city that we're in.
Yep,
Pizza
it was.
Yeah.
That it was.
Pizza and armor. Wait, that was in your city? Bitcoin Pizza?
Yep.
Oh yes, it was in mine. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Wow,
actually
that's
told
pretty
Cynthia
cool.
about that when we saw that it was like the 10-year anniversary or whatever. I told Cynthia, I'm like, hey, this was in our town.
Hey,
Yeah, I had no idea.
Have you ever eaten there? Because I would definitely want to know if that pizza's worth 10,000 Bitcoin.
I don't even. Where did he order it from?
It
I
was
don't
just a
even remember.
Domino's.
Was it
Oh.
really?
Yeah, it was some
That's
Domino's.
anticlimactic.
The verge of pizza.
Right.
That's
God.
so funny. Awesome, man. So continue with your story there.
Yeah. All right, so and then in 2014, that's when I got wrecked by Mt. Gox, and I lost it all. It was almost 1,000 Bitcoin.
Oh,
And-
painful.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
No.
And
That is
then
so painful.
I'm still looking into it to see if I can get it back. I've been on their website, and it looks like it's just a creditors or something right now. So I'm trying to deal with that, see if I can maybe get some of it back. But at that point, I got out. I said F it all. I sold my mining rigs. I was done. And then 2016,
So you took how long of a break after that?
basically 2 years.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because that happened in March of 14, and then I came back in January of 16.
I'm pretty sure you've probably calculated how much that would be worth right now.
I'm doing the math now.
Don't
So-
remind him.
so-
Don't remind him.
At that point in time, it was about $450,000.
Then when you lost it.
Yeah. And
Ugh.
right now you're looking at like what's Bitcoin at, so you're probably going to like
Six-
$6.8
Six
million
something?
close
Yeah.
to.
Well, you're
Oh!
at 6.7 basically.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my
Yep,
God.
good times.
You are
That's the
officially-
award. Like that.
I mean, no one ever gonna beat that Rekt story. Like that's
That is a pretty good one.
We'll
that's
see. There's
what
somebody
this
out there.
podcast is for.
I don't know. Spending 150 Bitcoin in a video game is pretty freaking wrecked too.
Yeah, but like he's got both of these stories back to back to back. Like though, like that would be a great story for one of our other guests to have. This is Walken's
like
got
double
Rekt on
Rekt.
Rekt on Rekt.
That's 2 top 10 stories.
I'm just here to make Chamber feel better.
You have no idea what you're doing to my
All right,
self-esteem right now.
so
funny.
Walken. Now, here at this point, you're just fuck it. I'm done. I'm out. You sold everything, and you took a 2-year hiatus.
Yep. So 2016, my buddy got me back in. I didn't
Now,
want to do
how?
it.
Like, what conversation has to transpire for you to say, you know what, I can do this again?
Well, it was basically just you know what, I'll try it. So he gave me a call and was like, there's this new coin out, Ethereum, that everybody's jumping on and mining. And I was like, well, I mean, I really didn't want to do it at the time, but I kind of did what I did before, and when I wasn't gaming, I just mined it in my off time, and it was pretty good. I don't know, I think I was getting, God, five or six a day, I think, back then.
This
But,
makes me hate myself. I wish
Right?
I was
God,
like, I wish
dang.
I was in this. Like now, I'm getting like 0.1 a day, and like if I'm lucky.
And you're
geez.
doing
Oh,
this from
it's-
you're doing this from a gaming computer?
Yeah, it was a gaming computer. It was only 2 cards. So, yeah, 2 cards was getting about, I think it was getting like 5 a day, early
God.
2016. And then, yeah, now you can run like a 12-card rig and maybe get 0.5 Ethereum Classic. So that shows you the
Yeah,
difficulty now.
Exactly.
But, yeah, and then 2017, it hit like $300, I think, around April or May. And then once again, I'm like, oh, man, this is it. So I sold like almost all of it. And I ended up paying off debt, and I bought my mining rigs, but then we all watched it all climb to $1,500. So there's that
Right.
too. So the lesson in that is hold, especially if you get into something early, hold the coins.
Yeah, that's
Right.
interesting. I mean, because
That's
you
a
know,
big.
that's like opportunity cost wrecked. But like, I mean, I think there's a lot of
But that's another a conversation. Is like when do you sell? When do you know it's the top? I mean, you didn't know then that it was going to go up that high. I mean, it could have crashed after that. And I think it's kind of like profit is profit, even though hindsight it sucks seeing the price. But
totally because I
you
mean, if you're thinking about, especially coming from your perspective, where you had already basically gone from okay, I have all this Bitcoin to losing it all,
Yeah.
like. In your mind, and if I were you, I'd have been like, I'm fucking selling now.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
but even so, like from where you probably started mining it was, I mean, to where it was, that percentage growth is
huge.
got to be astronomical.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
30x. But
Right,
I think
so-
that taught me to, I guess, not sell it all.
right.
I mean,
keep
always
a,
take
keep
profit,
a little moon bag.
but keep some.
Keep a moon bag. You write that down, Chamber. Keep moon bag.
Moon M.
He's taking notes. I can see him writing.
Oh my god. So yeah, but okay, and at least you bought some hardware with that. You have some, tangible asset now that you can, that's still making you passive income, which is good. So, that's not the worst.
Plus
end to
paying
the
off
story.
debt. I mean, at least you did something responsible with it,
Very
Yeah,
responsible.
I adulted.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
for
Okay.
sure.
So here's a non-adult thing to do. I one time held like 50,000 Miota or IOTA. That was like my first altcoin that I got all into when I was starting out, and I like gambled half of it away, and so it then proceeded to. But this was when it was still like 30 cents a pop, and so I was selling some, I was gambling some, and then I like. And then it ran up to $5, and I'm like, I had a
Shit.
fraction of what I had. So at least, like you said, at least you bought something physical and paid off some debt with it and did some responsible things, unlike me. So we have a degenerate, a wrecked, and a drunk on the podcast as our hosts.
I'm
My
not
most-
drunk,
my-
thank you very much.
I'm kidding.
My most responsible investment, I think, I had to take a sit down and really review what my moves were. And I think my most responsible investment was Pepe cards.
That's amazing. Hey, look, they held their value better than probably half our bags.
Guaranteed.
Oh my God!
True.
So, all right, you get back in for Ethereum. That's when you start mining. Then you sell it. Now, where do you go from here? Like, what's your next chapter from there?
So I still just want to keep building more mining rigs. Like I know I've been pushing Ethereum Classic hard. I'm mining it with all my rigs right now. And my
Same.
plan is I'm hoping that when it hits Coinbase, it pops. And then I'm just going to build a bunch more mining rigs.
That's awesome.
It's a good plan.
Sure.
So now at this point you are, very active in Telegram, on whale reports, on Twitter. You're starting to grow yourself a following. When did that become, something that you thought you would be interested in doing? Because you've kind of had a pretty quick come up, and I think you're, only going even further north from here.
Yeah, so I originally just kind of kept to the forums and Reddit and stuff like that for the longest time. I really didn't want to go on the social media side of it just because of what happened with me and Gox, and kind of want to stay anonymous, and that's why I'm still anonymous on Twitter. But around like October, November, when all the madness started, I started watching a lot of people on YouTube and all the shills coming out and the misinformation, and I'm like, this is just wrong, because you have all these new people that are coming into this space. They're just getting wrecked because they're believing all these people that have also been in for 5 minutes, but they figured out how to basically lead people on and get them from their money. So I actually, funny enough, started listening to the Crypto Street podcast, and that's when I first heard about crypto Twitter and just all this stuff, and that's when I decided to jump on. So I actually made I never had a Twitter account before, and I ended up making one in January, and it was just like this lame account that had my name, and I didn't know what the heck I was doing. So I started realizing that like all the people that were gaining a following had some like anonymous cartoon character, right? Like Yeezy and Randy, like they were the first people that I saw on crypto Twitter, and I followed them. And then I just kind of seen all these other ones. I'm like, you know what, this is my thing. And then from there, I kind of just I ended up getting into Telegram. That was what really gained my following, and that's actually where I met Cynthia. And then from there, I just started kind of dropping little knowledge nuggets of mining and stuff like that. And then people started catching on that I knew stuff, and it just went off from there. And then, of course, I battled like the 1 month Twitter ban where I didn't even have Twitter, so I had to go to Telegram.
You got Twitter wrecked also.
I did. I had
Even
I
I
had my original,
didn't get Twitter wrecked.
my original Twitter account. I think I got it up to like 700 followers, and then it got banned. And then I didn't have Twitter for like a month, so all I had was Telegram and whale reports to tell people I was still alive.
Walken almost gave up on Twitter.
I did. I was so close.
We would chat on Telegram, and he was like, "Fuck Twitter. I'll stay on Telegram. Fuck this shit."
Yeah, and then as soon as you came back, you went from like 100 followers in a day to I think you're up over almost. Are you at 2,500 now?
I just crossed 2,600 like yesterday, I think.
Nice.
Nice.
So like that's been pretty quick. So now you can show this podcast to all your followers. so.
Exactly.
That's you actually bring up an interesting point there with the anonymity of Twitter versus people who are fully doxxed on Twitter. We have a mixed group here. So like Cynthia, you're fully out on Twitter. You're you, and
I am.
I'm a Bitcoin astronaut, which I only play on TV. And Chamber, you're behind an avatar too. So I wonder, like, Cynthia, as somebody who's fully doxxed on Twitter, what's your kind of opinion on that whole thing?
Well, I mean, I understand why people do it for a plethora of reasons, kind of like Walken's, where he's been burned before and just wants to keep a low profile, and some of these guys have a ton of Bitcoin, and their net worth in cryptocurrency is huge. And, we've heard all of these horror stories about people being held up and, trying to get their private keys from them and, what all of those type of stories. And so I understand why people do it. I'm crypto poor, so I don't have to worry about that. And plus, I've had Twitter forever. I never got on Twitter. But then I realized that crypto Twitter was a thing. And that was honestly the first time I really used Twitter, was when I figured out that there was a crypto Twitter. But I use it for my business. And I'll plug my crypto startup. And so I have to be doxxed for that. So it just kind of...
Be doxxed?
Yeah.
Get it?
Get it? Get it?
Doxxed.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've actually, been thinking about more and more of having to do it just because, at some point I'm first of all, I'm very easy to actually dox. It took Cynthia like 5 seconds to dox me.
But hey, let me just say that I can dox anyone.
That's very true.
Walken's seen it in the Whale Reports chat that I will be like, okay, dox me and I'll give you
That's where it was, and you literally did it to me and
I started doxing everyone
seconds.
And they were like, oh shit.
But like I don't have too much to hide behind, so like I'm kind of indifferent towards it but I think there is something to be said. I think Koineasy was saying the same thing. It's like there's some things you can say behind or like express behind a avatar that you can't in real life or whatever.
Absolutely.
But then it goes both ways where you maybe aren't taken quite as seriously or that as you might be if it was just you personally on there. So I'm not sure. So I don't know. I think about it more and more all the time.
I think
Chamber,
there's pros and cons with both.
I was gonna say I just don't want to be embarrassed. It's embarrassing for me right now.
You're so right.
Yeah, like, are you kidding me? I'm the guy that got in November, and lost, an embarrassing amount of funds. I'm just waiting for the next one. Once I break even,
it could be worse. You could be your dad.
Oh, don't get started with that.
God, that's horrible.
It's heartbreak. I don't even talk to him anymore. It's embarrassing. Sorry,
you're not invited for holidays. No. Awesome, man.
No, I think I'd be okay with it. Well, and the other part too, I'll kind of half dox myself. Speaking of crypto Twitter, I would see this kind of meme name being tossed around all the time, and it was Chad, and I'm like, that's my actual name.
And you're like, did they know who I am?
Like, am I a meme already?
Meme.
So yeah, you'd see Chad floating all over the place. I'm still not 100% sure what that means, but I'm like, no one would even believe me if I told them my real name was Chad. Anyways,
I kind of agree with you there. I never know if Chad is a good thing or a bad thing. Like half the time, I feel like it's a negative thing.
100% negative. Growing up with the name Chad, I'm in my mid-30s. If any movie or television show you've ever watched, if there's a Chad in it, he's a complete and utter douchebag. It's the worst. It's the worst. So no, Chambers fine. I like that. But yeah, no,
that's a cool nickname. I mean,
I love
Chambers
it.
a cool nickname.
It's much better than my actual first name.
Cool, man. So, Walken, we've heard your epic your epic crypto Rex. This is the point in the podcast where we ask our guests to share, let the group, let the listeners really get to know you and tell us a personal Rekt story that you might have.
Yeah, for sure. So for those that don't know, I am active duty military. That's also the reason why I kind of stay anonymous. One of the other reasons.
That's a good reason,
That's
too.
a very good reason.
Yeah.
It's better than my reason.
And thank you for your service, of course.
Thanks. So I want to say this was 2007. I was in A school at the time. For those that don't know, A school is where you basically go to school in the Navy before you get sent off to a boat or a ship. And my instructor at the time told me basically if you go to Boston on St. Paddy's Day in your dress blues, you won't pay for anything. So we decided to take him up on this, and 6 of us all piled into this little Mitsubishi Galant, and we had a DD because the dude was 19, so he couldn't drink. So we drove up to Boston, and it was wild. I don't remember most of the night. We basically drank for free all night. We went and saw Dropkick Murphys.
Dropkick Murphys, man, I haven't heard that name in a while.
That's
an epic
an
night.
annual thing. Dropkick Murphys play every Boston St. Paddy's.
You're kidding? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like, I lived in Boston for a while, so I can relate to Boston St. Paddy's Day Rex.
Yeah, so we drank all night, and then the last thing I remember was somebody bought us a bunch of liquid cocaines, and then the night just spiraled out of control from there. So I don't remember
I don't
most
even know
of
what that is. What is
Those
liquid
LCs will
cocaine?
get you every time.
It's a shot.
Yeah, it's a shot that's just like everything you can imagine, and you black out basically after you take it. I don't remember.
Like cocaine.
It's like the Long Island iced tea of shots.
Just kidding. I wouldn't know.
Jesus.
So,
Well, we now have to name this podcast explicit, so thanks for that. We are now an explicit podcast on Apple and iTunes.
Sorry, guys.
It gives us an edge.
It's the vino.
Yeah, it gives us an edge.
so I didn't
Anyways.
remember. Sorry, I didn't remember most of the drive back. I do remember getting back to base, and like, so a lot of this, for anybody who's active duty listening, this was a different time. You can't get away with this stuff anymore, and I look back, and I probably should have went to mass. But anyway, so the 6 of us basically went through the gate. The gate guard just looked in the car and just shook his head at us. We made it up to the barracks, and then of course from there. We decided to be loud and obnoxious. We went up on one of the floors and we basically had like an all-out brawl. And then people started coming out of their barracks rooms upset. I had a buddy of mine. I like put him on my shoulders like Will Smith style in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and spun him around and kicked this dude in the face and like bruised his face. So where it gets interesting is I probably threw up for like 2 hours and just lived in my bathroom at that time. And then
God.
I crawled into my rack. I think I had enough power to just get like my jumper top off and my shoes. And then I climbed in my rack. And then I thought this was a dream. But basically I was so drunk that I threw up in my pillow. And I folded it in half like a taco, and I went back to sleep on it.
Oh, man.
And
Rekt.
I remember my buddy like telling me, "Dude, you just folded your pillow like a taco." And I was like, "Shut up, man. No, I didn't," and just fell back asleep. So where this story
my
really
God.
gets good is
That's not even the best part?
oh no,
That's not the good
no.
part?
The appetizer.
So I had duty the next day. So for those that don't know what duty is, you basically have a group of people and you have to stand watch, right, in a building the next day, and you're supposed to be sober and attentive and ready to go.
Right.
And this was also before the Navy had breathalyzers, so that's why I got away with this. So at like 6:45 in the morning, my door just gets
my God.
pounded down, and I let the dude in. He's like, "You're late for muster," and I'm basically just like, "Oh shit!" So I hadn't showered.
Still drunk.
Drunk as hell. Hadn't showered. Hadn't shaved. I threw my jumper top on. I threw my shoes on, and basically like ran out the door. So the best part is this is Groton in the winter, right? And I live on a hill, so I probably fell like 4 times in the ice trying to make it down to the barracks building that we had to do our muster at. And then there was this poor little dude that was standing next to me. He was probably like 5'5", and I'm like 6'4", and I'm just leaning on him because I'm drunk. and the section leader comes through, and he just looks at me, and he's like, "Well, you had first watch, but go hit the rack." Nothing happened. Thank God.
Oh my God.
You got lucky.
But that wouldn't fly now at all. Not in today's Navy.
That's funny, man. That's a good story. I love a good Boston drunk story. So,
Aren't those just called Boston stories?
right? Those are just Boston stories. I think I blacked out the entire 2 years I lived there. So, that's awesome. Cool, man. So we're gonna switch it up a little bit today. Typically, in our first two episodes, we did the news kind of at the back half of the show. We're actually gonna move that up and do it now. We felt like we might have been rushing that part a little, so we want to get that going now. So, Chamber, you want to kick us off?
I sure do. So I think it's the meme of the week, but Dragon Chain. I don't know if you guys have all seen this. Sponsored a NASCAR, and it was I would say maybe 7 days ago. They were really hyping it up. You can see the pictures of it, and everybody's like, "Oh, Dragon's going to the moon," and the typical shillers were shilling it pretty hard.
Mainstream.
Yeah, exactly. Right. This is setting off the alt, the new alt season. It's gonna be great. And sure enough, the day of the race. I mean, I don't know what kind of time it was, how many laps it did, but I mean, the thing was destroyed. And I mean, just
Wrecked.
100% wrecked.
Rekt.
And I mean, the memes made themselves after was, Dragon Chain, January 11th, 2018 versus July 7th.
That's pretty funny.
But I mean, I took a little bit of I got a good chuckle out of it because I definitely got burnt on Dragon Chain too. I got pretty excited about that one in January.
Did you buy at $5?
I did not buy at $5. I think the most expensive I purchased may have been
$4.99.
No, I think I was about maybe $2.50, $2.50, $2.75.
Okay.
So not awful, but not great.
So you got halfway. You got halfway of the run up.
I was gonna say I think that was my highest purchase, but I had made some trades. I think I fared out okay with that one on the way down.
Good.
So
I thought that was so funny when I saw it. It's just got typical crypto Rekt written all over it, and the shit posters are just having a field day with it. Does anyone else think the Dragon Chain logo is really awful?
Yeah, it's so cheesy. It's terrible.
It's like this little cartoon dragon rolled up in a ball with is he holding like a lock or something?
I think so. I think he's keeping all your secrets. I don't know.
First of all, dragons, are they even known for keeping secrets? Like
it is Disney. I figure
there's
a lot of deep dark secrets at Disney World.
That's awesome. That's a good story. Chris, did you have one?
Yeah, I did. So I've been telling people about buying GPUs right now because they're dirt cheap. And a story, well, actually, so last week you guys might have seen it, that huge flood in China that took out a bunch of ASICs and GPUs and all that.
Yes,
and then so today an article broke out that basically everybody's starting to migrate to Japan. There's a bunch of cheap electricity in Japan right now. So I've been telling people they need to buy GPUs now because my feeling is that I know they're overstocked, but basically replacing the GPUs that were damaged in China and then these people setting up huge ASIC and GPU farms in Japan, I can kind of see prices going back up.
Yeah, that's interesting point. I'm gonna ask you to send me a couple links after the show because I need to buy a couple more. So
yeah, I got you.
So send me some links. But yeah, man, that's a crazy story too. So how do you? Yeah, so you see that GPUs are gonna go back up in price. I mean, what were you've been in mining for a very long time? What did you think about the prices that we were seeing in January and February and stuff like that?
It was unreal. It was so high that I actually sold a bunch of my GPUs just to make profit because they already hit ROI. They were basically twice the amount that I had spent on mine.
Here's a Rekt. I probably bought the top of all those GPUs, and I probably bought all of Walken's GPUs. Wait a second. You're at Crypto Chris Walken on eBay? Damn it.
What are the odds?
Oh, man.
Hey, Chris, for someone, say such as myself, who's been in crypto for a pretty short amount of time, I've obviously been intrigued by mining. My technical prowess is mediocre. Maybe a 6 out of 10. What would I be looking for, or someone of my level? What would they be looking for as far as kind of a first build, or something along those lines?
So what I tell a lot of people is, I mean, if you have just a gaming computer or something, just install a miner on it just to get yourself going, kind of figuring it out from there, and then you can probably add a couple of GPUs to that. But a full-on mining build is not hard. I mean, there's a guy in my group that's a plumber, and we've talked him through it, and he built a rig, and he'd never built a computer in his entire life. So especially now, I built my first computer 20 years ago, and that was back when you had to set jumpers and have the right RAM for the right CPU and all that crap. And now everything is plug and play. So believe me, there's enough people out in the community that can get you through it.
Well, that's good to know.
Hey, I have another suggestion for you, Chamber. Why don't you check out the sponsor of today's show?
I know, I have. I got them going. But I'm thinking next level, you know what I mean?
So Honey Miner sponsoring the show today. So if anyone else out there is looking for something that's non-technical that can get you up and running, mining quickly, that's definitely a go-to. So awesome. So Cynthia, do you have a story lined up for us?
Yes, I do. Funny you should ask. Tezos. I don't know the details, but I know that all the tokens that were locked away during and after ICO, I guess for a certain period of time, were released, and a bunch of investors apparently dumped a lot of tokens, and the price just tanked, and everybody thought the sky was falling, and so more and more people were selling because they were scared. And then, like the next day, I think it jumped back up to 40% or so.
Yeah, the whole Tezos thing has been interesting to watch. I'm watching from the sidelines. I think the Tezos ICO was probably before or right around maybe when I got into crypto, so I didn't know really what any of these ICOs were at the time. But from what I understand, it's been almost or more than a year.
Yeah, I think
after
it was over a year.
Just over a year after they said that, the holding period would be like 6 months tops. And there's been all kinds of, delays with the foundation and all that stuff. And I mean, if you're ever listening to, when I was on Crypto Street podcast, I got Killer Whale to go off on a nice tangent about his Tezos.
Oh, he loves himself some Tez.
So I'm actually interested to see. I would want to check in with him because he said he was going to dump a bunch of his. So, but yeah, now it's finally tradable. So I guess that's a plus. Walken, do you have any Tezos?
I do not at all.
I
heard too many horror stories about it, and then like you were saying, the pain in Killer's heart on his podcast every time he talks about Tezos.
So automatically now just based on what they raised and market cap and everything and what the coin's worth, it's still, I'm pretty sure, up in the top 15 coins right now on Rekt.
It's high up there. Let me see. It is 18.
18. Wow.
Yeah.
It's just like out of thin air.
And honestly, though, I would love to see some stats on prices of coins once that holding period is over, because I feel like with any ICO, there's always going to be people that were in it just for the 10x, 20x, the quick flip. So as soon as you're in the clear to sell, I think a ton of people are, and it doesn't really have anything to do with the project. But like I said, I'd love to see some stats on other coins to see.
Which one would you be more worried about, guys? Would you be more worried about Tezos or EOS?
Well,
are we really going to talk about EOS again, guys?
I don't know. They just seem similar to me.
Did you forget that we have a EOS bag holder on the show?
Yeah, they just seem super similar.
That's why I'm always drinking.
That's fair. No, I just see when especially on Twitter. It seems some smart people on both sides are holding either bag, and they just seem really similar. A lot of kind of controversy behind both, but I don't know. I'm a little curious. I think I want to get a little bag of Tezzies.
You should have got them this weekend, dude.
I tried to get on Gate.io and do not pass go, do not collect the Tezzies.
I honestly thought about it too, and then day late, dollar short, story of my life. But it's like, I think it'll probably hit that part again. I saw people saying, "Oh, when should you buy it?" And they were like, "Oh, 50 cents," and I think it's still up over $1 something, 50 right now. So, this is not financial advice. Don't go buy bags of Tezzies because it's chambered.
231, guys.
Don't do what I do.
231 right now.
231, yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, my story comes from fresh off of literally our podcast last week, where we discussed with Chapo Syscoin, and that was actually one of his picks. So first, I need to discuss how do we score his pick here. I mean, I think he broke the damn game.
The old Chapo pump.
He broke the game
in the same way that Chris is real life Rekt stories or sorry his Rekt stories are the best I've ever heard. I think Chapo gets the win.
We've already peaked at the Crypto Fantasy League here. So if you haven't heard, the title of this article is apt for our podcast. Syscoin gets pumped, Binance gets wrecked. So I've heard, you've all heard the story of the 10,000 Bitcoin pizza or Walken's 100 BTC armor buy, but could you imagine buying one Syscoin for 96 Bitcoin?
Oh,
That's
I'd be
roughly
done.
that's roughly $600,000. So basically,
yeah,
Gagging.
accurate.
so basically, what happened here was Binance was the subject to an API hack where, they took advantage of Syscoin, and it was very easy for these attackers to move tons of Syscoin around through Binance, and somebody ended up paying a 96 Bitcoin price for Syscoin. So
Like, is that somebody actually sitting down and buying it, or is that another bot buying it?
so I was
say
thinking
it's
the
a bot.
same
I feel
thing.
like it couldn't be a person.
But somebody's bot. Like somebody paid for it.
Well, so my question about this
exchanges have
too.
their own bots.
Yeah,
so,
my other question about this too was like, was it a whole Syscoin, or was it like, did it all of a sudden become you can buy a fraction of a Syscoin? Like,
That's a good point.
So, but yeah, another 51% type hack through Binance API. But don't worry, just like Binance, Rekt Podcast is here to assure you that all your funds are SAFU.
I was waiting. I was hoping somebody would say that, and if they didn't, I was going to.
So
How amazing is it that he has just taken off with that SAFU and turned it into a real thing?
Oh
it's
my
a real
God.
thing.
You gotta love CZ, you guys. You have to love that guy.
It all started with the blue Bermuda shorts. That's where it started.
Sure did.
But yeah, so so Binance and Crypto Rekt Podcast keeping all of your fun SAFU. So those are our quick little news stories here. So moving right along, this is the part of our podcast where Walken gets the Rekt test. So if he wasn't already wrecked from some of his stories earlier,
Like I
now
said
you get to.
before,
Now you get
will
to go
be judged
through.
by your answers.
Now you get to go through the chamber gauntlet.
I mean, yeah, these are pretty tough questions. These are mostly
coming from
questions that I
chamber,
answer yes
I
to.
mean-
I feel like I feel like my rectness is dwindling. So
Diminishing.
Yeah,
What did you say earlier today? It was going from like 70% loss to 45%.
to 45% loss. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm
getting
learning.
better.
I feel like you guys have already helped me a lot. Like we said last podcast, instead of do your own research, do your own podcast.
Yes, you get these guests. You get guests on that know their stuff, and we get to learn.
I'm loving it. I mean, like, no word of a lie, the only note I wrote down from the last episode was buy Syscoin. I didn't.
Not at 96 Bitcoin.
It
No,
was
it
dude, it was
have
a
been the
day later.
It was a day later. If I would
later.
have bought that day,
You would have been loving life.
yeah.
Chapo's a cis whale.
It sure is.
we should follow up with him on that and ask where he ended up selling
He
his
hasn't been on
bag.
Twitter lately. Maybe he sold.
That's
that
it, he's
one
on an
Sys.
There's no
Island
reception
somewhere.
on his island, yeah.
Never hear from me again. Sorry. I love you guys, but sorry.
So, all right, let's start this test. So, the idea of the test, if you answer yes, it's not necessarily a good thing. It's to predict how wrecked you'll be during the next alt run, or at least at the top of the next alt run / Bitcoin run. So, is your portfolio currently more than 85% altcoins?
No, it's close, but it's not.
That
See,
was
everybody says that. I think we might need to adjust the number because I want to see where
I
the
feel like
number is.
75%.
Did you say 50-50 or?
Oh no, so I'm probably right around 70 or 75.
Yeah, I
but
think
you guys think
75
I'm
is
also
a
a
little bit.
miner, so I
Right.
mine a lot
That's
of
true.
coins.
That's a good
Very
point.
true.
You mine a lot of coins, right? So, Chamber, I think every time somebody answers no to that, we should the next podcast we should knock
Lower?
the number down by
Yeah.
like 2 or 3%
Yeah.
to see where we start getting yes and no's.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Yeah.
that's a good idea. So, no, you know,
My inner
not-
bookkeeper.
that's a good idea.
Bunchu is the gambler.
He is.
So, Chris, now that you're blowing up Twitter, are you when you're on Twitter, are you on night mode 100% of the time or not?
Oh, night mode, everything. Telegram,
That-
everything
that
night
is-
mode.
Absolutely. You don't want to burn those retinas. That is the correct
Chamber,
answer.
I haven't put coin market cap in night mode. How about that?
I agree.
Wow, there you
everything
go.
goes night mode.
That's awesome. Night mode is the right mode.
I grab my
Stealth
wife's
mode
phone.
for the military guy over here.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
so
I'll go in on my wife's phone and change everything to night mode for her. I can't be bothered.
she's like, "Did you read my text?" No, just changed everything to night mode.
You're good.
By the way, I've graduated to Twitter night mode this week.
Much better.
I had to do it. Yeah.
Bravo.
I have nothing on night mode. It bothers me. I don't like it.
Do you use more than 3 times leverage on BitMEX, Chris?
I don't mex at all. Never have, never will.
Very
Wow.
good. That's the one thing I definitely don't do. That scares
Yeah.
the shit out of me. I'm a degenerate at heart, and I know exactly what would happen to me.
I'd rather just liquidate myself than have someone
Absolutely.
else do it for me.
100%. Do you own either Verge or Tron? And if
No.
you've mined for it, that doesn't count. I don't know if you can mine either of those.
You can mine Verge, but no.
You can.
I've never, no.
Not even been enticed a little bit, eh? Good for you. That's
Nope.
strong moral compass. I'm going to add a new one here. I combined Verge and Tron. I feel like that was a pretty redundant question, so either or for me on that one. New question. Do you own a hardware wallet?
Ooh, this is a good Rekt question.
I do. I have a Ledger, Nano S.
Very good. I got one, as wrecked as I am, I got one in February. I feel pretty proud of myself.
Is there anything on it?
There is. I got a little bit of Bitcoin, mostly Zcash.
No, but he has one.
He
I
has
think
one
that's a
just
step
in
in the
case.
right direction.
Just in case.
It is there.
That's a great addition to the Rekt test, by the
That
way.
is. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
I kept looking at mine collecting dust. I'm like, I wonder if other people do this.
You use it as a paperweight.
Yeah. It looks exactly like another.
It's functional.
I have a medical marijuana device that comes in almost the exact same box. So I'll grab I'll grab that one occasionally. I'm like, oh shit, wrong one.
He's trying to load Zcash with his weed.
Yeah, it doesn't work so well.
Or he's going to take a vape
Stoned,
hit
it's an
off his
easy
Ledger.
mistake to make.
Vape hit the ledger.
This thing's
That's
broken. I lit it
Shit's
on
not
fire
working.
one time. I know. Not great.
Oh, jeez.
So moving on. When referring to Bitcoin, are we using the term Bitcoin Core?
No, Bitcoin.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, we don't want no Bitcoin cores on the show. I mean, it's okay. I'll take anybody on the show. I just want
Whatever.
to some more.
Yeezy said he called it Bitcoin Core.
I feel like Yeezy was being more technical than being a
yeah,
Bitcoin
he's a
Core
technical guy. He's
Yeah.
not like a trader, so
Exactly.
I
I
can
think he was
understand.
really more talking about the protocol, which I give him a pass on.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeezy, you're the man.
As he says to the guy that sponsors our.
Is Cryptopia in your top 3 exchanges?
No. I will say I did play around with Cryptopia during the last alt season, but no, it's not a top 3.
Oh, see, I think that's a positive if it is. I'm a big Cryptopia guy. I want to go to New Zealand and see what the operation's like.
No,
Oh my
I get
God,
wrecked on
it's just
IDEX.
it's a guy like me in their basement.
know.
Like,
Welcome to Cryptopia. Here's a T-shirt. Did you buy the BitConnect coin bottom?
No, I didn't buy BitConnect at all.
Oh, they're dirt cheap right now, man.
Yeah, I know, right?
If it can survive this, really, what can
99% from all-time high, man. Cheap hot alts.
by the way, while we're talking BitConnect, did we see that Trayvon James post with his target?
This target name tag?
So what are the odds
What?
that was real?
I didn't see this. What are you talking about?
Oh, he posted a tweet for it was like his first tweet in 2 months, and it just said "Welp," and it was a picture of him holding a Target name tag with the name Trayvon on it.
I think that's 100% real.
You think it's real?
100%.
No, isn't he like in jail or something?
No. I think they're just like I think there's a civil suit.
Just civil.
It's very civil, but I think for sure, like he didn't cash out his BCC. He's definitely working at Target now.
I don't know if it's real, but it was hilarious.
Very good if it isn't.
If it wasn't real, at least he finds some humor in himself right now.
A sense of humor for sure.
I kind of like the guy now, actually, a little bit more.
Me too.
It makes him likable for sure.
Me too. I'm actually gonna buy some of that BCC when we get off of it.
I'll help you out, brother.
Where can you buy that? I don't even know where you can buy that these days. Okay. Question number 9. Do you dream of owning a Lamborghini?
No, that is not my top car.
What is
I think
your
I've
top car?
talked a GTR. That's what I really want.
What is that, a Nissan?
Yep.
Oh, it is. I got it right.
Wow, there you go. Ding.
Yeah, I'm a big tuner guy, so yeah, GTR is next
Chris
on the
has
list.
a fast car.
Like an
I saw
old
his car
one?
when I met him.
Like an old GTR or a new GTR?
No, new GTR.
Okay. Are those all-wheel drive? I think I know which ones you're
Yes.
talking about. Yeah,
Yes,
that's a nice
they
car.
are.
It almost looks like the Batmobile.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Okay.
We should start taking a collection because we asked this question to everyone. We should start recording what their dream cars are.
Yeah.
And we like keep track of them. So that way when you do hit it big off of all of our guest picks, Chamber, we can buy one of all of their cars.
One of each. It's going to be great. So the last question, is 2FA too much hassle?
Oh no, I got 2FA on everything.
Good stuff. You know what? You did pretty good.
He did very good.
I'm trying to...
Look, for someone who
I think he
so
went 10
wrecked,
for 10.
for someone who has been so wrecked, he's got to learn, right?
I learned from my mistakes.
He went 10 for 10.
Unlike Chamber.
Yeah, I go, yeah. He's very good.
I think it makes a good, like, I just keep going back to, what you said, Walken, at the beginning, where, like, at the time you were spending 100 BTC on armor, like, it really was used more as a currency than it is now.
Exactly.
And so
100%.
I like
Store
struggle with
value.
thinking about that. Like, of course, now you would never spend 100 BTC on something, but like, where are we just gone from that time where it's ever going to be used as like a real currency again, or what?
I don't know. I really do. I don't think we're gonna use Bitcoin as a currency anymore. I think I've said it before that it really has gotten this store of value moniker, and as long as the price keeps climbing, it's gonna be something else is gonna have to take its place as the actual currency.
What do you think that might be? Any guesses? Like
Tron.
Well, so I mean, like, Nano's good, but they have all their freaking wallet issues, and then I know people always have the stigma of it, but Bitcoin Cash, it does work. I've had many conversations, and I was a big hater on it, but good old Aquarium changed that.
Yeah.
there's a lot of Bitcoin cashers in the Aquarium. That's
Yeah.
I actually banned one certain person from the Aquarium multiple times. Rob. Shout out to Rob.
Yep.
I think he's going to be on at some point.
I banned him he is going to be on. I banned him like twice. I was anti-Bcash 1,000%, and now I'm like 50-50. I'm open to it, and there's some really smart people up behind it, and it's fast as hell and really cheap. So we'll see.
Interesting.
So are we thinking Litecoin is out the door now? Like, I keep looking at Litecoin, and Charlie Lee sold the top of his.
Litecoin was gone the day that Charlie Lee sold it.
100, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm thinking.
Come on.
Like, even me, like, I see it. I'm like, nah, man, that's done. Like, I can see through it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's like, it's something I think about now based on what I just said. So it's, who's going to be that currency, like that real currency going forward? Because I'm starting to think that, Bitcoin is the same. Like we just said, like store of value. No one's going to spend it like that. But we'll see. I don't know. But you passed the Rekt test with flying colors. That's probably the best score we've gotten so far.
It was a perfect score. It was a
perfect score.
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
Well, he had the worst past Rekt scores.
Yes, exactly.
And the best Rekt
and he's been
test.
He's been around the longest too, so he's had time to learn.
Sure.
Awesome. So now we're going to go to our purge segment, where you get to pick any crypto project to purge with no consequences, but you can't pick anything we've already picked. So Yeezy picked Verge. Last week Chapo picked Tron. What's your pick and why?
So I may lose followers, but I don't care. So XRP, hands down.
Oh,
XRP.
oh, he just shots fired.
I went
Ripping out
straight there.
Ripple.
It's pointless. Like, they've already decided that XRP is not Ripple, and the banks don't need the XRP token. They just want to use the network. That's all they want. They want XRapid and XCurrent. That's all they need.
Is like the currency of the man.
It is.
It's big banks.
I'm pretty sure
institutional.
Ashton Kutcher's a big deal in Ripple too there, Cynthia. I don't
No,
know about
and
you,
know
but I'm
what?
a
And I
big
will say
Ashton
this,
fan.
I don't think I've ever admitted this, but I actually hold some XRP in a little bag just in case, because I feel like if the man decides that this is what's going to be the currency, then I want to have a little bit. So
Cynthia, my biggest gains, my best trades have all come from Ripple, from XRP.
well, what does that say though, Chamber? I mean,
The most money I've ever made was I look at my Blockfolio and then I see Ripple. I have none left.
but you didn't buy Ripple at $2.30 or whatever, $3.
No, I sold there. I sold very
Good for
close to
you.
the top.
Good for you.
So yeah, my big 3-digit green percentage number comes up on Ripple. I'm like, nice.
That's so
Good
hot.
move.
That's nice. And at least it was on Ripple. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's a good pick. I was waiting to see how long it would be till someone down the list got Ripple, and that's about where I had it.
I'm
Probably-
curious to see what the next one is going to be.
Yeah, because
Right,
you
where
can't
do
use
you
the
go
same
from there?
ones. So interesting. So awesome. Now instead of our purge, we're going to our little fantasy league where you get to pick 3 projects over the next 3 months that you think are going to perform well, and we're going to track you against our other guests. So what do you got for us in the terms of projects that you like?
I know he's going to say Ethereum Classic.
Yeah, that's number one, first and foremost,
Pamp
Ethereum Classic. That's
Pamp it.
it's on my ledger until Coinbase, and then it's flying off. But
So
awesome.
let me ask you, because I'm doing the same thing you are, and I'm mining Ethereum Classic with all my might. Do you see it? Are you planning on doing something with it as soon as it hits Coinbase and gets that initial pop, or do you think, over the next 6 months after that, it's going to slowly climb to where it's going to be? Like, what I don't want to do is pull what you regret doing with Ethereum when you were mining it.
yeah, so I'm definitely going to take profits on the way up. That's for sure. Because I think its all-time high was close to $50, and it's only sitting around like 18 right now. So I could definitely see it hitting 35 to 40. So I'll probably take some profits there, and then just kind of watch the market and see. I mean, if we hit another bull run at some point, I could see it doing a Litecoin.
That would be so hot.
We're in the next, we're in the next bull run, by the way, guys. The start of the podcast was the
podcast,
signaling
yeah.
of the next bull run.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
it
not
was.
sure
It's
it's
alt
the
season,
bull
right?
run, but definitely reversal.
Yeah, we've stopped the bleeding.
Okay, so you got ETC.
Let's see. So the other one I'm going to go for is Ven, which will soon be Vet.
Oh, they're
Then-
changing it.
oh.
Yeah, so the token swap is on the 15th of July, and my reason for this is it's going to go from Ven to Vet, and when it goes to Vet, every 1 Ven is going to become 100 Vet. So the supply is going to go up by 100, and the price is going to divide by 100. So it will be one of the cheapest coins on Binance, and we all know how cheap coins roll.
Interesting. That's I can see in the Google Hangout that Chambers writing this down.
100% I'm writing this down.
I can
Okay,
totally
well,
see
did
him
you
doing
see in
this.
the Google Hangout that I was gone for a second? I had to go
did.
refill my vino.
There you go.
So what is this Ven to Vet is going to happen here?
All right,
Ven
so
they're issuing Vet?
no, so Ven is going to become Vet. So
Right, yeah. And
so
then, so it'll be an airdrop for every Ven.
yeah, so but
Your
Ven's
Ven?
going to go away.
Right. Yeah.
And then
kind of like
so it's
EOS.
going to go up. So if you have 100 Ven, then it's going to be what 10,000 Vet, and then the price will also
Oh,
divide
okay.
by 100. So if it's $3, it's going to become 3 cents. It'll be one of the
Interesting.
cheapest coins.
Gotcha.
Interesting. All right, how about a third?
Whew. I'm going to go wild card here, and I'm going to say XDNA.
Oh my God, I've never even heard of that.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, I don't even know what that is.
Where can I
Yeah.
buy this bag?
So it's only on Crypto Bridge right now. It's only been out for like 2 weeks, I think. I actually did an article on the Whale Reports about it, and it was actually on the front page of Google because that's how little this has been talked about. But
That's pretty cool.
It's a proof of work. It's a proof of work coin, and it also has master nodes. And the cool thing about this coin is that as the difficulty goes up, the block reward goes up with it. So you don't lose as much profitability. And there's actually 3 tiers of master nodes, so it's a really cool project.
Awesome.
Very
What's
cool.
the what does it go for a master node? Do you know, or like the first tier? Do you know?
It's 1,000. So at current price, I think it'll run you like $600. I think they're like 67 cents each right now.
Oh, that's not bad for to
Yeah,
get into
it's
the
like
master node game.
It's 1,000, 3,000, and 6,000.
So do you run master nodes? I know you're huge into mining, but do you mess with master nodes at all?
I don't have any yet. There's a couple of coins I hold that will be master nodes soon, like Tomo for one. I was a big Tomo pusher for a while.
Oh my God, he wouldn't shut up about Tomo.
I got a bag of that.
It killed it though. It killed it, and then I sold and I bought back in. But I think I have enough for a master node, but the master nodes aren't released until next year.
Interesting. That's cool.
Tomo, Man, you were shilling Man for the longest time.
Yeah, Man's another one.
I'm kind of surprised you didn't say ICX in your 3.
I don't know. I'm just looking at releases because of just how the market is right now. There's not much coming for Icon right now. I love Icon. It's like my second biggest bag, but
me too. Well, not second biggest, but it's pretty big.
Yeah.
Interesting. Awesome, man. So we've got your picks written down. So that kind of gives us through our segments. So this is kind of the time we let you have the floor, plug yourself, what you're doing, anything, how people can get a hold of you and follow you and things like that.
So first off, of course, riding for the whale reports. I've got my Proof of Walken mining series is actually taking off pretty well right now. Of course, on Twitter, you can get me at CryptoChrisW, CryptoChristopherWalken. Telegram, I've got my Walken on the Moon Telegram announcement channel, and then I've got my Proof of Walken group, which those have actually grown a lot. I think my channel is over 500 subscribers now. So the miners are coming in. I'm also on the Crypto Mountain Discord. You can find me in the Honey Miner Telegram. I'm an admin there, and I've actually been starting to work on that. I do have an article coming out, just waiting on the easy approval on that one. But that's it, really.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was at Whale Reports, and we were talking in our private channel, they were looking for a new writer, and so I messaged Chris and was like, "Hey, would you be interested?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, of course." And all of a sudden, a week later, Walken's way past me in subscribers on his Telegram channel. He's a superstar celebrity, and I'm like, I just want everybody to know that I was the talent scout here who found this guy. Okay.
Yeah, I had no followers really on Twitter at the time. I think I was at 150 followers, and then Cynthia was like, "You want to write for Whale Reports?" I was like, "I'm a nobody. Hell yeah."
That's awesome. Yeah, you're literally everywhere now. So everybody follow him if you don't already. And definitely the Proof of Walken. First of all, fantastic name for a mining series and
really
a
is.
play on your name. It's great. All your mining articles are awesome. I'm a miner and I've learned a lot of stuff from your articles. I'm in his channel also. It took me a while to get there, but I found it. And so, but yeah, definitely follow him. Walken, if you want to send me the links to all that stuff, I'll put it in the show notes too for everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so cool. So that about does it. Just a couple other things, some housekeeping items. Thank you all for listening to our first 2 episodes. The feedback has been awesome. Please subscribe, tell your friends, tell your grandmother. Just go what you should do is do what Chamber does: get your grandma's phone, turn all her stuff to light mode or night mode, and then tell her to subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a 5-star review and tell us your best Rekt story in your 5-star review, and we're gonna start reading some of those on air. I think that would be fun. So
or come to our Telegram channel and leave your Rekt stories. I love having all of these new people come in and giving us feedback and stuff. It's awesome.
I was just going to say the Telegram channel, t.me /Rekt_podcast is our Telegram channel. We'll put that in the show notes as well. And then follow us on Twitter at Rekt_podcast. So we want to try to grow the Telegram channel for anyone that's listening, because we're going to try to start doing some cool, listener interaction, some giveaways. some polls, things like that. So we definitely want to try to build that as big as we can and really start to interact with you guys and take feedback and things like that. So again, thanks everybody for listening. We will end it this week with the BitMEX Rekt of the week. We have a liquidated short, which you're welcome, because we signaled the reversal. Liquidated short on Bitcoin from July 8th for 3,136,300 contracts at the price of $67.59. So
God.
that's a wrecked on wrecked on wrecked.
Pretty wrecked.
Yeah. So awesome, man. Well, Chris, thank you. Walken, thanks for being here. Again, you can find us on Twitter at BunchuBets. Chamber, what's yours?
At C Crypto Chamber.
Does the C stand for Chad?
It does not. It's I have a stutter.
It means there was another crypto chamber.
There was another
so
crypto
we had
chamber.
to add something in there.
I have a stutter is a great answer. And Cynthia, how can people find you?
At Women of Crypto.
Awesome. So for the Rekt podcast, until next time, don't get wrecked, and that is financial advice.